record this video on how to draw or sketch a still life. So at home, I recommend getting your sketchbook. You can put your name on it, what period, date if you wanted. Maybe we'll do like a little decorating exercise later, but I think this will be a good thing to add to your sketchbook. If you want, you could even do like a half page. So think of this as your frame that you're seeing. The camera angle is a little different, so but I'll try to show a picture of kind of what angle I'm at so you can kind of see what that looks like. But you should get the idea of how to just break down a scene. So deciding kind of where you're going to draw. So think of these four corners as kind of like the the perimeter. So I'm going to treat this chair here as kind of the top left here. And then maybe I'll even use that as kind of my whole length. So the chair is kind of what I'm looking at. So I'm kind of looking at it this angle. Again, this is your background, so you don't have to do this. You could just ignore the chair, but I'm just putting that in there really lightly so I have a frame of reference. Okay, and then let's see here. So chair kind of has the woods, the back of it comes to about here roughly. Here's the table, and then I'll probably actually have to cut this off. So one of the salt pepper grinders is the salt grinder, or shaker, do we want to call it. And then this pepper is kind of about there. And yeah, what I'm doing is I'm just lightly going in, just thinking of the contours of each object. So, like I said in our live meeting, starting off with the contour or the outline of things will help you kind of frame everything up. And then sort of like the goldfish, that Matisse painting, I'll talk about how to take this drawing and kind of abstract it or give it some sort of, unique look. So just know that, I think this kind of drawing or still life drawing is definitely a useful tool, but you can take it in lots of different creative ways. Alright, so there's this glass here. So I'm not really even seeing the bottoms of these. I'm so close. Oftentimes you'll see people do still lifes where the still life's pretty far away, so you have some distance. So this is kind of a close-up still life. Alright. And we're just approximately trying to get things so I can kind of see like this cross slat. I can kind of see a corner here. And this would come out here. In reality, this would probably actually extend a little more, but I think this might work. Okay. But the closer you are to, like if you can look over here and be like, what's the corner of this chair in relationship to this cup? It's like kind of this angle here, we can kind of see this almost triangular shape that radiates from this edge to this edge. So perspective is another good thing to understand. We'll talk more about perspective later on in the quarter. Okay, so pepper grinder has this kind of little window thing on it. So I got a rough approximation of my still life. And I've been going in pretty lightly. I'm just using this, I'm actually using a slightly darker pencil, but in the packet you got, I think there's like a 2H, or it might be like a, think of the B, the 6B as being a lot darker than 2H. So, I actually kind of like just using the darker pencils. Sometimes I'll use the light ones if I'm just really trying to lightly sketch, but it's up to you. I gave you those options. But yeah, now I could kind of start going into detail, like these tops here, and draw those in. Actually, I'll go back to the 6B. And there's kind of this like light reflecting. This is where I kind of soften it up, add some shading. You can also erase some of your guidelines. Like when I was drawing the table, I just kind of drew right across, but as long as you go light, even with the dark pencils, you can erase pretty well. But yeah, and that's the basic contour of it. Now I'm just going to go in and clean these up. And this is where I kind of, I'll definitely reference and look at my still life, even after I have the contours, because I want to kind of pick up on these details, but I'm spending a lot more time just sort of shading, that sort of thing. But your initial drawing, your contour lines, can be more what they often call gesture drawing. You're just kind of drawing really fast. One more quick demo on doing still life. So I chose this kind of more simple still life, but you can still do some really cool stuff. And I would say if you want to kind of test this out first with something, just like sketching a pencil or a couple of pencils or pens or whatever, this would be a good exercise. So I've already done my drawing, kind of added some shading, tried to add some texture, but I could definitely add more to this, but I think it's good as just kind of a study. So for, like what I've been talking about, where you're kind of changing the way something looks based off of initial drawing, I'll actually use this lighter pencil, but what I'm going to do is, rather than try to sketch this still life, I'm going to take this drawing and kind of simplify it down a little bit more. So I'm not doing as many gesture lines, like kind of wiggling my pencil around and trying to capture this. I'm actually going to do some more stylized. When I say stylized, I mean like it's got kind of more of a style than realistic. Not necessarily cartoon, but something that has kind of a unique look. And I'm just taking this rubber band. I'm actually making it a little bigger just to kind of show you. I think this drawing, or this choice is, there's not a whole lot of going on, so I'll try to make it a little bigger. And I'm just simplifying things, like giving things straighter lines. But I'm still kind of copying this. Think of like, logos, like on sports teams' logos and that sort of thing. Like they often use really clean, sharp lines. And it might be an image of something, like an animal or an object or something like that, but the lines are kind of modified to look a little more reproducible. Not necessarily easier to draw, but less shading and texture. But like I said, starting with something simple to kind of get this idea down. I don't know, there's like an eraser. You definitely could shade this too. I mean, kind of more stylized drawings, they can be shaded too. You can use this darker pencil. And this might be a good time to start coming up with some color ideas, because what we're going to do is pick one of your sketches, and you're going to use that separate paper, one of the separate sheets of paper, and then make a stylized drawing of that still life. So yeah, coming up with some colors. I just went green for this whole thing, and maybe the rubber bands will be blue. So I'll just try to pick like 3 colors. And then I can go back over this with a darker pencil. Let's see. Really bring out those lines, darken them. So yeah, that's kind of the next step for this still life project.